Hi, I'm Karen Schuessler, and today I'm going to share with you my process for teaching a new piece to my choirs, my adult choirs and my youth choir. Often I've run into a situation where I've taught them not so carefully years ago, and the mistakes, is in their muscle memory, and it is just so difficult to get it out. It's well nigh impossible to erase it completely. We have to readdress it every time we get the piece out. So I've got a much cleaner, more efficient way of teaching the choir, and by the time we're done, they are much more confident, and then we can pull that piece out with no trouble whatsoever and bring it right back up. So the first thing that we do is, is I introduce the piece. And this is kind of like right hemisphere of the brain. We want the big context. We want the big picture. And so in order to do that, I share any information I have on it, on the composer, on the text, whatever, the poet. I mention why we're doing it. And then I'll play through it. Or these days, more likely, I'll find a recording on YouTube or somewhere else and play that, or I'll send that to them as a link in an email and ask them to listen before they come to rehearsal. Some will, some won't. So it depends. Sometimes the piece warrants hearing the bigger context because it's way beyond what they're going to get by dealing with the little details for a while. So I'll do that during the rehearsal. And then I also upload performances of the pieces. We have a Dropbox file that I use with the choir, and I will upload parts and that I find online, and performances, of course. And I'll also, if there's nothing online for parts, then I'll just use my phone and record the part on the piano and upload that, and so that they have no excuses. That's the goal. Okay, so the next thing we do after the introduction of the piece is to mark out sections. I want them to have, again, this is part of the big picture, I want them to have a roadmap. We talk about this more toward the end of putting a piece together, but they have to have the roadmap lined up at the beginning. I tell them I don't want them just singing next note, next note, next note, next note, without any sense of the context. So we mark out the sections, mark out where they're the same, where they go different, what the coda is, all that kind of thing. After we've done that, then because people literally can only focus on one thing at a time to do it well, we break the piece down into its various components. So the first thing I might do is work on pitch. And so I always start with the bases, because that way I can build it up, and as I add more parts, each section is hearing their part as the top. And as the top, they'll hear it more clearly and learn it more readily, because they're not trying to fish it out if I played it as a lower part or within a chord. Sometimes I'll let them sing through it. I'll back up a second. And I'll say undo-do or hum or bim-bim or whatever you want to do. Don't sing words. Just, think about pitch and all that kind of stuff. And that, again, is to give them a sense of singing the piece. And then we break it down. So we're starting with the bases, no text. We sing it on do-do-do. And I use D because the consonant D will not unseat the breath like something like a T will, or a P, or something. Now there's other ones that you can use, but we just use a D, and it's easy and it works really well. And I use the oo because it's more focused for pitch, and less variation in the vowel sound. Oo, if they make a really small lip shape, then they're going to get a good sound, and then the vowels will be the same, and they'll hear the chords more clearly. So I'm going to grab my hymn book here. And I'm going to go to, so for instance, this hymn. And the tune is Lobet den Herren, just like the first line. So then the basses just do, here's the piece, etc., etc. So then they just do. We'll do that one time, then we'll add the tenors. Basses are still singing. Add the alto. Sorry. And then the soprano. And then we move to the next phrase. Okay, basses, da, da, etc., etc. So we break it down that way for pitch, and then, yeah, in this way. Oh, and the other thing that allows me to do is because I'm hearing, it's very clear who the new singer, the new section is, and so I can hear if there's going to be a register shift issue somewhere, and we can get that fixed right at the beginning, so that they go up and over into the next vocal register room, and solve those issues for tuning, and then if there's and if there's any spot where they sing the wrong note, there's usually I will say almost always a really good reason, like they're in dissonance with some other part. And so as we go through that, I'll go, okay, so altos, notice that you're singing a D and the basses are singing a C. Let's kind of, work that out. And this gives us a chance to do that as we're learning the notes, like right away. After we've worked on the pitches, then we go into the rhythm. And some of the rhythms, of course, are simpler than others. If it's complex at all, we use count singing. And count singing has a few different advantages, and that would be like 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1, like that. When we sing T instead of 3, because the thr takes too much time, and this is more precise. So 1 and 2 and T and they all do that. Some people have a real hard time counting and singing, and so then for those folks, I just let them do do on eighth notes in order to be with everybody else. But that if we count sing through it when we've got all 4 parts or even just a few of the parts, it helps to sort out, especially in polyphonic music, who goes where. And that is like, I don't know how else we would do it without count singing. It's just so helpful to clear the fog. And get people to hear how it's like the puzzle pieces have to fit in together, and count singing is the easiest way to do that. Then after that, another reason for count singing, when you do that, I'll just do 509 in here, which is Here I Am, Lord. So many of us know that. The thing with count singing is that you keep counting, and if you've got a long note, it helps the singer to realize. See, we're hampered a bit by our notation. If you see a whole note, you see a circle, and then you see a void. You see nothing, and on the piano you do nothing, but in singing you have to perhaps grow like crescendo. You have to carry the note. You have to carry the phrase. You have to carry the momentum. All of these things, and change some things that you're doing for singing in this area that has a void. So if you're doing count singing, you're getting the count, but you're also able to do like 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and 4 and. I have a different sense of that than if I do 1 and 2 and. I'll do it different. I'm not encouraged to do anything with that one, but 1 and 2 and T and 4. I am encouraged because I keep singing and keep putting the air through the phrase and stuff. So that's helpful for that. And when you do the count singing, it's also important not to do anything on a rest. So no sound. So for instance, if we were count singing I the Lord of Sea and Sky, start on 2 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 2 and T and 4 and 1, etc., etc. So when you come to a rest, no sound. And somebody will inevitably start to say something, but then they'll stop right away. And so that makes them more precise right at the beginning. And notice that's a rest. I stop. And so that's important there. Another really wonderful thing about that you can do with count singing is to get similar to holding the long note. If I'm doing a piece, especially in 3/4 time, but others as well. I've got right here Puer nobis nascitur, so O love how deep, which is in 3. And so it's very easy to sing. It's like, oh love how deep, how low, how high, whatever, the word broad. But you could hear that I was very notey as I did it. And that is hard to get past and get into a non-professional singer's imagination of how to make that legato and smooth for a phrase. So if you do the count singing, T and 1 and 2 and T and 1 and 2 and T, 1 and 2 and T and 1 and 2 and T. And James Jordan would say, I went to a marvelous seminar with him that was over a week long once, a number of years ago. And one of the things he said was in a 3/4, in a piece that has 3 beats per bar, move the air on 2 and 3. Move the air on 2 and 3. You're always going over the bar into 1. And so you can do that with the count singing because you're very aware of where beats 2 and 3 are. So that's another thing to get the music off the ground and learned in a musical fashion right at the beginning. Other ways of teaching rhythm is just say the text in rhythm, feel the groove, and go through that way. Then to change that, to get it closer to the piece, then you would do, I'll make something up. Oh, I know. No, I won't. I'll make it up. So it's like, hello, today is the day. If you want to do something with a jazzy rhythm with kicks and different things like that. Hello, the day is the day. Rather than, hello, the day is the day. You do, hello, the day is the day. And you just do it on a monotone throughout the whole thing. That gets them into singing before they get the pitches going. So you break it down in these small little increments. And then adding text. Yeah, then you add text when they beg you. Sort of, can we sing the words now? But James Jordan, and I think he's right. I don't know if my choirs would quite, we've broken it down for so many years now, that a lot of times choirs, when they sing the text, they think they know the piece. And then they just blot out a whole lot of other detail. And so this way, they have to have a really good grasp of all the other detail before they put the text on. And I put the text on sooner than I used to, which is a good thing because they can handle it. And then text has its own problems of diction issues that need to be resolved. Then you put it all together, and it's and you feel like a big reward. It's like, woo, we're putting this all together. And the hoot and hollers start, because they're pretty excited about this. And then if you want to check a part, you're hearing something going a little bit snaky somewhere, say it's the tenors, ask them to sing the text, ask the sopranos to sing bim, 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 just on an M, had the altos to sing do and the basses to sing do or something like that, so that they're singing, but you are hearing clearly what the tenors are doing because they're singing the words. And that way everyone is still singing all the time, but you're able to deal with the section that's got a tricky spot in it. when we are singing all together and I'm playing parts, I can't always play all 4 parts together and do a really good job at it. So I'll just pull back and only play 3. And usually I tell the sopranos, you're on your own. And I just figured that, they get the tunes, so, they should have to work a little bit. So we do that. Or the basses, you guys are on your own, something like that. So it recreates independence, and I play the other parts with more security to help them out. I'll divide a piece into 2 halves and flip the halves every rehearsal. That just keeps us having the time to get through more repertoire, and that tends to work pretty well for the first few weeks of learning a piece, and then we put it together when it's time. Tricky bits get worked on every week, so I'll isolate those, and we'll just drill those every week as we do the other half or whatever. And we learn it without accompaniment until it's secure, and then we add that accompaniment in, because sometimes that'll throw things, of course, as you know. But largely, they're pretty independent by then. They can almost do the piece a cappella. And so that makes it easier when we do bring in the accompanist. And then that's it. And some days, at the end of the day, it's Thursday and Sunday's coming up and the anthem is almost there, but we've worked on it and we need to move along. So I'll just say it's up to the Holy Spirit now. But if you want to help the Holy Spirit along, just, look over your part before Sunday, and by gum, the Holy Spirit does its work, and so's the choir, and it sounds great. So thank you. That's how we put together a piece. Okay, bye.